Would the meeting please come to order? This is the special meeting of June 3rd, 2025 of the Irvine City Council. The time is 9:05 a.m. And at this point, I'd like to first turn to our city clerk so that he might inform everybody who's here and at home as to how they can participate in this morning's meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of our audience who wish to speak may submit their name into one of the speaker kiosks next to the city clerk or in the main lobby. We also offer the ability to provide live comments via Zoom and submit written comments through our e-comment system. For those who wish to participate virtually, visit zoom.us using any web browser or the Zoom app on smartphones or tablets and enter meeting ID 848-4853-1263. The passcode is 272906. You may also dial in by calling 669-900-6833 or 346-248-7799 and entering the same meeting ID and passcode. Those who wish to provide comments via Zoom are asked to enter the speaker queue by raising their hand electronically. The city clerk will call your name and allow you to unmute your microphone at the appropriate time. Those dialing in by telephone will be identified by the last 3 digits of their telephone number. We ask that you please state your name for the record. The time limits per speaker are noted in the posted agenda and are established based on the number of requests submitted. All requests submitted after the first speaker is called shall receive 90 seconds. Those who wish to provide written comments may do so by clicking e-comment on the City Council meeting agenda webpage at cityofirvine.org/ICTV. All comments will be provided to the City Council as part of the meeting record and will be uploaded to the city's website. For technical assistance with Zoom before or during the meeting, please call 949-724-6078. For any other questions or assistance, please contact the City Clerk's office at 949-724-6205 or via email at clerk@cityofirvine.org. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. And now that you've informed people as to how they can participate and that we're properly called to order, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Go.
Here.
Councilmember Liu.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Here.
Councilmember Treseder.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mai.
Here.
And Mayor Agron.
Thank you. This morning's special meeting begins with a closed session. At this time, I'd like to turn to our city attorney who can describe the closed session, what it's about, and how we will proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. There's one item on for closed session consideration this morning. This is a public employee appointment under Government Code Section 54957, and the title would be Interim City Manager, and that's all.
Thank you. I believe we may be able to do this in a half hour, but it may take an hour. We will certainly be back in open session by 10 o'clock this morning. With that,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
I apologize for the interruption. We do have a member of the public who wishes to speak on this item.
Oh, there is a request. Very well. Of course, people are permitted to comment on our listed public comments for closed session. How many do we have?
We have one request.
One request? Is it in person?
Via Zoom.
Please call the person, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor. Our speaker is Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic. Mr. Nishanian, can you hear us?
So,
Mr. Nishanian, go ahead.
Mayor Agron, council members, I strongly suggest that you consider Pete McMichael for both interim city manager, which he has held before, and also city manager going forward. Thankful to see Oliver Chi go. He's a childish boy who is spoiled And if I hear him say overarching again to describe anything, I may just lose my shit. Think about Pete McMichael. Thank you.
And that is all, Mayor.
Thank you. With that, we will now convene in closed session. The council, having been in closed session, is now reconvened. The time is 10 a.m. And at this time, I'll turn to our city attorney to ask him to report any action that may have been taken by the council in closed session. Mr. Melching.
Thank you, Mayor. During closed session, the City Council voted unanimously to move forward with Sean Crumby as the interim city manager for the city. The formalization of that selection will occur in the meeting of June 24th, when we will bring the agreement for interim city manager services forward for open session consideration by the City Council.
Thank you. Congratulations, Sean. Let's give you a little round of applause, all right? You've got big shoes to fill, but I think the council, as reflected in the unanimous vote, has great confidence in your ability to do that. Thank you. With that, we move on to council business. This morning, we have altogether 6 items of council business. It's my hope that these items carried over from previous agendas, that we can move through these quickly. And with that, I'm going to ask the city clerk to identify item 2.1 on the agenda by title and subject.
Thank you, Mayor. 2.1, consideration of a request by Mayor Agron to adopt a minimum wage ordinance for city staff and certain service providers.
Thank you. I'll just make a very brief presentation on this. We, as a council, approved some months ago in kind of contract reopeners with our employee unions. We also took the opportunity to approve for our lowest paid employees, our lowest paid hourly employees, we approved a minimum Irvine wage, which I tend to refer to as a living wage. We approved an Irvine living wage of $20 per hour. The state minimum wage is now $16.50 per hour, so that put us at $3.50 above the state minimum wage. For those who are working essentially full-time on an hourly basis, we also set the wage at $25 per hour. So the part-time minimum wage was $20. The longer-term, essentially full-time city employees who are working hourly, the minimum was set at $25. I'd like to actually turn to the city manager now to just speak momentarily about the economic impact in terms of our budget, what we were paying before, how many workers were under the $20 per hour, what the cost would be.
Certainly. As part of the City Council approved memorandums of understanding that were considered earlier this calendar year, there was an identification that effective July 1 of this year, pursuant to those approved MOUs, all of our part-time salaries will move up to pay an amount no less than $20. all of our full-time staff will move up to earn a salary not less than $25 an hour to address some of the compaction-related issues. The overall cost of that adjustment, we had a lot of our seasonal part-time staff that were making less than 20 effective July 1. That'll all be adjusted. The net budgetary impact was somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year to make that adjustment, given the seasonal nature of that employee base. Impacted 80 to 100 employees, again, depending on their status and the seasonality of those roles. With that adjustment in place, the full-time staffing moving to $25 an hour had a fairly modest impact. Most of our full-time staff were already on a pay scale that facilitated that transition.
So going forward, we're talking essentially about $300,000 a year more than exists now.
Correct.
Very well. The idea, that was an agreement we reached. The idea here is to codify this in an ordinance and to similarly for these employees make upward adjustments annually in keeping with the state's increase of its minimum wage, so that we would maintain a $3.50 differential. So the 20 would likely go to $20.50 come January, depending on the state adjustment. Let me add one other thing. In addition to codifying that so we don't have to return to this issue over and over again, this ordinance would also extend that standard to our contract employees. That is, when we contract with a firm, for example, to do custodial work or to do some landscaping work, this would apply the Irvine minimum wage to anybody in those contract firms who is actually working in Irvine. And that would be written into the ordinance as it is. And I think this would indicate there's reason why Irvine time and time again is considered to be one of the outstanding workplaces in all of Orange County, public or private. With that, I'd like to, just for formal purposes, move adoption of the ordinance. I'd like maybe have the city attorney read the ordinance. If there's a second to my motion, is there a second? No second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Yes, we can discuss it. I just wanted to get a second and get it in front of us, all right? I'd like you to read it if you might, and then we're open for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. The title of the ordinance is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Irvine, California, adding Division 6 to Title 2 of the Irvine Municipal Code relating to minimum wage requirements. That's all.
Thank you. With the motion, the second before us, it's open now to discussion. Councilmember Carroll.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the introduction. I just want to ask the city manager again. It sounded like, if I could maybe ask you to just spend a minute or two. So it appears that what our current practices are with respect to compensation of our, our people at this wage level, and what we're being asked to kind of consider today is pretty close to what we're doing. Is that a fair statement, or what? How would you walk us through that?
Certainly. With respect to how the ordinance applies to, the proposed ordinance would apply to the city organization, it comports exactly with what the council has previously approved as it relates to labor agreements and the wage scale for all of our existing employees here in the city. There's no immediate direct cost impact associated for the city directly as it relates to more costs paying our staff, given that effective July 1, the provisions of the proposed ordinance have already been approved and will take effect. On a move forward basis, the way the ordinance is drafted, it proposes that the minimum wage for part-time staff track at $3.50 more than what the statewide minimum wage is. Statewide minimum wage is $16.50 an hour in California now and can increase by up to 3.5% a year, depending on CPI. So in future years, it'll be something that we have to adjust and look into. The reality, though, is also as part of the 4-year labor agreements the council authorized, there's planned increases each of the next couple of years for our wage scale that exceed that 3.5% maximum. And so at least for the duration of the current MOUs that the council has currently approved, this memorandum or this proposed ordinance wouldn't have any direct impact. The place where it might have a direct impact is related to contractors that the city does business with. Anyone that does $200,000 worth of work or more with the city would have to then pay a wage no less than $3.50 more than the current state minimum wage, so $20 an hour minimum for any contractors with a contract in excess of $200,000. Based on some preliminary analysis by the staff, there's a fairly modest adjustment we would expect if this were to take effect, somewhere in the order of $250,000 a year, based on some assumptions that our finance team and public works team had coordinated.
And this is not a general wage increase. This has to do with folks that are working for the city of Irvine as employer.
Correct.
Okay. And any impact on public safety? I know we currently have compensation scales that are competitive and exceed other, police departments, but this doesn't really touch on that?
No, this wouldn't have an impact on public safety.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Thank you. Actually, that answered my question. It was the same question, similar. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Councilmember Go.
Thank you, Mayor. As some of you guys know, I was actually previously a city employee, and this is greatly appreciated. As a lifeguard, we went through extensive training in terms of getting certified. You expect somebody to save your kid's life and paying them $16.50 an hour. It's a little bit imbalance when fast food workers are making $20 an hour. So this is going to be greatly appreciated by a lot of the folks who work here for the city of Irvine. And I think as a city of Irvine, we hold a higher standard, and we want everybody to look at us as an example. And this is one of those things. So thank you so much for putting this on the item, Mayor. And the second concern I have with the contractors is, in terms of policing them, how do we make sure that the flow-through is going directly to the employees themselves? As you know, if you contract directly, that's not a problem. But if it goes through a contracting company, are we going to be doing audits 6 months, a year? How do we make sure that we don't have any bad apples that would steal from the employees directly?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great question. If the ordinance is adopted by the City Council, we have existing mechanisms in place pursuant to our community workforce agreement and also our requirement to pay prevailing wages to ensure that employees who are hired through those mechanisms are paid the appropriate wage. We would expand those programs to cover any contractor now. Instead of just public works contracts, which is where the current enforcement mechanisms lie, we'd expand it to include service contracts where we're paying, where the contract value is greater than $200,000 a year.
Thank you, Councilmember Go. Councilmember Liu.
First, I want to thank the mayor for bringing this up. I know that this is an issue that you've been championing for a while to bring up the living wage. And I'm glad to see that we're going to codify the MOU that we had just adopted, and a lot of cities are trying to keep up with Irvine. So it's a good thing. My question is, by codifying this MOU with staff work, that'll keep the costs predictable, so it's great for fiscal policy for the city's budget. But is this, are we setting the bar too low? That's one of the questions. And would it impact the union's ability to negotiate it later on down the line? And that was one of my concerns. If this will keeping up with the cost of living, that's my only concern. But I do love the idea. I think it's a great idea that we're able to reflect that. The other concern that I have is, have we considered maybe this will be impacting any smaller business that would try to bid for a contract with the city? Is that going to be an issue with them that they can't compete because they just can't afford the increased cost in labor?
I think those
Councilmember Liu, if
questions were directed. Yes, go ahead.
it's I'll take my shot at them, and then Oliver, I'm sure, will supplement as necessary. With regard to whether it's enough, that's of course a policy decision of the City Council. If you find out that it's not enough, it's an ordinance. You have the ability, the flexibility to make future modifications to address that. With regard to its impact on negotiations with labor organizations, I think the short answer is it shouldn't have an impact. It sets a floor, not a ceiling on wages. And so if through those negotiations a higher number is negotiated, then so be it. That will be the experience of the city. And then with regard to smaller businesses, there is a provision in the ordinance that allows for a waiver application based on a showing of infeasibility or hardship. And it's, I would say, an intelligently designed provision, because it requires that application and showing be made at the time somebody is seeking the work from the city instead of after they already have a contract. So I think, obviously, if that mechanism doesn't prove successful, we'd have the ability to modify it going forward, but there is a design to address that issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Liu. And finally, Councilmember Mai.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have a different perspective here, and I just wanted to share it with everyone. There's a reason, for example, In-N-Out, they've always paid more. They paid $25 starting without having to look at any minimum wages or anything, because just as there's not a big fiscal impact to the city if we did this, contractors generally don't pay that low. And I think that we should leave it to the contractors and the private companies to make the decision of how much they can pay. They can pay low and not have anybody work for them, or they can pay high and exceed the minimum wage, or pay as much as the market asks them to pay. I think that as a city, it's fine that our city employees we've increased their wages. That's perfectly, a just thing to do. But I think that when we get starting to step on the toes of private companies, I think it's a little overstepping when state and federal laws already exist. The other consideration on a global viewpoint is what is going to happen with the companies. They're going to trickle down and increase their contracting costs to the city as well. That's something we need to take in consideration. Another thing is that I think about is a two-tiered system, where some contractors will be able to contract with the city and some won't. How are they going to tell their employees, oh, if you're going to work in Irvine today, you're going to be making $25 an hour. If you're going to be working in Anaheim, you're going to be making $18 an hour. I think it adds to the confusion of these contractors. We should allow them, these private companies, to dictate their rates and what they're going to pay people, instead of messing with their accounting, messing with their policies and their procedures. Of course, we want them, no one should be making that amount of money and doing labor, but that's up to them to decide to do that. That's up to them to fail or succeed, and we should allow them to do that instead of dictating, hey, if you're gonna do business at the city of Irvine, you have to pay this amount. That's just my opinion on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll just say a word or two. We used to have an Irvine living wage. When the state was at $8 an hour, we set our living wage also applicable to contract employees and contractors. We set ours at $10, $2 an hour higher than the state minimum wage. That worked well for years. We continued to get highly competitive contracts here, and we were able, as a result of that, until it was repealed by a council, it was the only city council in the entire United States of America that actually repealed its living wage ordinance. But during that time, it worked and worked very well. And for me, this comes down to a basic question. What kind of workplace do we want to have? And what kind of relationship to those who have contracts with the city do we want to have? I want to know that in this city, with taxpayer dollars, high quality of life, anybody working here in the city of Irvine will be certain to be getting at least $20 an hour, which, by the way, most competitive contract employers provide for already. But those that don't need to know that in the city of Irvine, we want our workforce to be properly compensated. And that is, after all, a statement about how we feel about our employees. I don't know about others of you, but when somebody comes to my house to do some work, I ask them how much they're getting paid per hour. I want to know. And if they tell me they're not getting paid $20 an hour, I'm not interested in doing business with that employer. That's my own private decision, but I think we should have a unanimous public decision that does the same. That's my view. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Mayor, we do have one request to speak via Zoom, if I may.
Very well. Thank you for reminding me.
Of course. Our request to speak is from Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you very much. Council members, Mayor Agrin. I'm not opposed to this, but I just don't see any submission. In the back of my head, I hear Don Geller going, hey, Larry, what about getting this to the Finance Commission first? I don't see anything from the Finance Commission regarding this, either yay or nay. In addition, one of the last sentences of Larry's memo states that the use of city funds to assist in creating higher paid jobs with will decrease poverty, et cetera. There's no independent corroborating evidence regarding this last statement. And the city should consider at least an analysis before it proceeds in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments.
Correct.
With that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
No.
Mayor Agrin.
Yes.
Carries 6-1 with Vice Mayor Mai voting no.
Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues. With that, we move to item 2.2. Would the clerk please identify this item by title and subject?
Consideration of a request by Councilmember Liu to discuss a sober living and group homes ordinance.
Thank you. I'll remind those who might be watching or listening that this would be the appropriate time to raise your hand electronically to enter the speaker queue if you wish to offer a public comment. With that, I'll turn to Councilmember Liu to introduce this subject, and thank you for your patience. I know this has been on the agenda for a number of meetings, and now we're finally getting to it.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I want to thank the mayor and Supervisor Foley and the Sober Living Task Force for their leadership on this issue. Back in July 2024, there was a resident attacked and killed by another at a facility called Turning Tides. And it's a sober living home right here in Irvine, and unfortunately, it's in District 1. When the news broke, I checked the address, and I realized it's so close to where some of my friends live with their kids. And that got to my attention, and I started looking into this issue, and at the time that I was campaigning. And once I got on council, I have more access to the information and realized that there is a task force out there. There have been cities doing work on putting more regulation. And the purpose of this is not only just to protect the neighbors and the neighborhoods in the area for public safety reasons, it's also to protect the patients who are supposed to be cared for in these homes. But unfortunately, a lot of them are actually not supervised, not equipped to take care of these people who desperately need help in their road on recovery. So I've been going to the meetings with the Sober Living Task Force. I've been talking to a lot of the other cities who have been working on this ordinance and have successfully approved them, and heard personal stories from residents who have been impacted by having a sober living home near them. And our team did a lot of extensive research, and this is why we submitted the memo with the information. And so far, many of the cities in Orange County, and unfortunately we're called the Rehab Riviera because of the great weather that we have, a lot of the cities have already been able to successfully have this ordinance in place to at least have some kind of local control to protect the residents and the patients. And there are 4 bills, I believe, currently on in Sacramento on the state capitol to be reviewed to add a little more enforcement power and a little more oversight to control the regulations. So I'm hoping that Irvine can also adopt such ordinance so we can continue to provide public safety and oversight on patient care.
Thank you. So let me just ask as part of your presentation, are you suggesting this be referred to staff, or are you proposing a specific ordinance?
So I'm referring this to staff, but we do have the ordinance from other cities and also the County of Orange as a model that we can use. One of the cases that have been decided on at, I believe it's 9th Circuit, that and the decision was final and published, is Ohio Housing, and that is the case that have become the standard in the precedent. So I'm hoping that we can adopt such ordinance, and there's some. Well, would you like me to make the motion, or?
Well, you can do it now or after this first round.
Yeah, can we do
so
that?
Why don't we?
Yeah, I would
why
like
don't
to
we wait
hear
till
what-
we call on others? Thank you.
you.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, just want to thank Council Member for bringing this forward. This is definitely an issue that touches on a lot of issues with regard to Irvine public safety, and as important as public safety is the Irvine master planning, land use, and what this all means with regard to our communities. This is a problem that is far more prevalent, according to my understanding, in our neighboring cities of Costa Mesa and Newport Beach due to their planning, or maybe, I wouldn't say lack thereof, but just different planning. We're a newer city, so we have the benefit of a single landowner mostly, and master planning and an incredible community development team and zoning team. So much like boarding houses and situations that we've had in places like Northwood and other villages that we've had a chance to address, I think this is a great first step. And I think if I read the memo correctly, it's asking staff to take a look at this, take a look at the relevant law, take a look at the codes, come back with something. So this is just a first step and something that we can all look at later and really dive into. So I fully support this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Vice Mayor and Councilmember Mai.
Yes, I just wanted to state my support for this. Thank you for putting this on here, Councilmember Liu. Thank you for considering the public safety and then also local control. We need to preemptively advance some laws here, and just to get things safe in the city. And thank you for bringing this forward and to the attention, because it is, as Councilmember Carroll mentioned, an issue with the surrounding cities and here as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Mai. Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Thank you. I just want to know, like, how big a problem is this in Irvine? My understanding that we have only 3 of these homes here in the city of Irvine, and I read the Costa Mesa ordinance, and the problem led to like more than 100 homes that they have this problem. So I just want to understand how many houses we really have in here, and are we not doing any enforcement? That's why we are having this problem, or what is happening?
Why don't we get a response from our city staff with respect to the number of sober living homes and the limits upon our enforcement processes. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Stephanie Frady, Director of Community Development. To answer your question, Commissioner or Councilmember Martinez Franco, we actually have 8 sober living homes within city limits at this point. We have them broken down by district if you are curious about that. Currently, enforcement is limited to obtaining a business license for these. All other licensing goes through the state. So our city code enforcement team does monitor the state licensing website and also our business licensing to cite these locations and keep an eye on them.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Liu, before I call on you, I'll just make a brief comment, if I might. I'm certainly supportive of this initiative that you have placed on the agenda here. I think in referring this matter to staff to come back with a model ordinance of some kind, we also would want to include anything that goes beyond what exists among other cities and yet does not violate state law. I'd be interested in as well. One thing that I've suggested, I happen to have on the street where I live, there's a sober living home. Incidentally, I think the fact that there are sober living homes in our city and in other cities, that's a good thing, as long as they're properly regulated and dispersed and the numbers are right and so forth. One problem that is encountered, of course, is in the operation of these sober living homes. There may be violations of law that impact the neighborhood. In the case of the sober living home on my street, they, for months, were making there were repeated police calls to come out to deal with one problem or another. Fortunately, that is all abated over a period of time, and things are under control. I had suggested to our staff that they look into, and I'd like our city attorney to look into it, an ordinance that includes a provision to the effect that in any home across the city, sober living or otherwise, where there are, for example, more than 2 police calls in a 30-day period, that the second and the third, well, not the second, but the third and the fourth police calls, should they occur, that they be a price consequence as part of our enforcement. Something on the order of $500 for a third call, maybe $1,000 for a fourth call. I'd like you to come back with that as well, assuming the motion passes. All right. With that, Councilmember Liu, I'll turn to you to please just offer a motion, and we'll vote on it.
Thank you. So my motion will be to request the city manager, city attorney, and the city staff to propose a sober living and group home ordinance within the city of Irvine with a comprehensive overview of the application requirements, permitting, zoning, and other necessary supplemental items, including a minimum 1,000-foot spacing requirement between homes, a 24/7 on-site manager, and anti-curbing regulation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If Councilmember Go.
I believe there's also public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't we take the public comment first, and then I'll turn to you. Please, thank you, Carl. How many public commenters do we have?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 requests to speak, one in person and one via Zoom.
All right, call on the in-person commenter first, please.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could call Julian forward.
Welcome. Hold on. We think your microphone isn't hooked up yet. Try again. There you go.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Julian Serur, and I'm a policy intern for Vice Chair Katrina Foley, who proudly represents Irvine on the Board of Supervisors. The Vice Chair is committed to prioritizing our community's safety and ensuring that individuals seeking solutions to their addiction receive quality care, non-exploitative criminal operation. These unregulated recovery residences also worsen our housing crisis by driving up the cost of housing with unreasonable costs of rent. On behalf of Vice Chair Foley, I respectfully urge you to support this item and the public safety of Irvine neighborhoods. Our residents deserve to be safe in their own community, and patients deserve quality care free of predatory exploitation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next speaker is Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you. Council members, Mayor Agrin, I'm in support of this, but I just want to bring it to everybody's attention and remind them that staff was supposed to come back with something after the Ohio case was decided, because Tammy Kim brought this matter to the City Council previously during her tenure. And at that time, it was put on hold until after that case was decided. It was decided, and then staff never brought it back to council. And these are things that are missed, and they go to the city manager's position, just like the Irvine Relief Plan grants and the auditing of those and the oversight of those also, which looked like it did not occur. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment. I'll turn to Councilmember Go. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate this because we really, thanks Councilmember Liu, we really need to stay proactive on these measures. As you know, the price of real estate in Irvine is changing drastically. So a lot of the landlords are going to be looking for alternative use in the future. Fortunately now we don't have as many of them, but we do expect it to increase over time, and getting in front of it is better to deal with it earlier than later. Councilmember Liu and I was able to attend actually a meeting with our Supervisor Foley, and we went into details and learned a lot more about the Ohio House case with Costa Mesa. And I also want to thank our neighboring city, Costa Mesa, for fronting much of the legal costs that was involved in creating this measure. So I definitely support us making sure that we're proactive in our land use. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Go. Unless there are further requests, I'll give the last word to the proponent, Councilmember Liu, and then we'll take a roll call vote.
Thank you. So I just wanted to add that the goal for this is to ensure health and safety compliance without overburdening any responsible operators. And currently, like previously mentioned, the city of Costa Mesa was the pioneer city that bore the legal fees to have this ordinance done. And County of Orange, Laguna Niguel, I think the latest is Mission Viejo have all adopted such ordinance with improvements with every single one of them. And as previously discussed, there are currently 4 state bills, and thank you, Mayor, for sending the letter to support those. And so this should be a issue that we should all care about, and I thank my colleagues for supporting this. And yes, I really would like to take this to a vote, and thank you all for supporting this measure.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
Yes.
Mayor Agron.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Liu. We'll now turn to item 2.3. Would the clerk please identify this item by title and subject?
Consideration of a request by Vice Mayor Mai to discuss Irvine's 100 Flags Initiative, a permanent patriotic landmark program leading to America's 250th anniversary.
Thank you. With that introduction, I'll turn to Vice Mayor and Councilmember Mai, who placed this on the agenda some weeks ago, and I'm glad we're finally getting to it. Councilmember Mai.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I looked at this memo. Also, we'll have to adjust some of the dates on here because this is bringing forward it in May 13th. We'll have to adjust that. But I wanted to just briefly introduce this memo and then also speak to it myself. As proud members of the Irvine community, we should continually honor the United States of America and all our nation represents. Irvine is more than just a city within the U.S. Our story is a living testament to the American dream, where people from all backgrounds unite to build opportunity, prosperity, and community. This is why I'm proposing Irvine's 100 Flag Initiative, a long-term permanent program to install 100 flags at parks and public spaces across Irvine, creating enduring landmarks that reflect our city's patriotism, pride, and shared values. Rather than limiting this vision to a single July 4th event, this initiative will serve as a lasting and iconic tribute, building momentum toward the United States' 250th anniversary in 2026. A milestone worthy of a citywide symbol of unity and national pride. Before I continue, I wanted to add some personal commentary on this as well. We live in a time, even though we're up here, we're nonpartisan, we say, we live in a time where everything is so partisan, we are so torn as a society, where the media has us thinking left, right, extremism to one end or to another. But there's one thing that is undeniable, unrefutable, is that we are Americans. We could be Asian Americans, we can be Hispanic Americans, we can be from different cultures and backgrounds. But one thing that can unite us is our love for this country, and that's something that is lacking, I feel, out there. This is one of the things that I want to do to improve unity through the community as well. And with that, each flag, I'm suggesting, be permanently installed on a flagpole, highly visible locations in city parks and green spaces, on all council districts, since some of them don't have any flags. Properly illuminated by solar-powered lighting or following the display, 24/7 display and ordinance with U.S. flag code, and thoughtfully placed and dedicated in collaboration with veterans, civic leaders, and local schools, allowing for community engagement and intergenerational learning. My motion here is to direct the staff to work with the Finance Committee, also create a report outlining cost estimates, proposed locations, community partnerships, and detailed implementation timeline within 60 days. To ensure completion by 2026.
Thank you. Did you wish to offer a motion at this time that could then have a second? And we can take public comment as well as comment from the dais.
Yeah, that was my motion. My motion was to direct staff to return with a comprehensive report outlining cost estimates, proposed locations, community partnerships, and detailed implementation timeline within 60 days to ensure completion by 2026.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Seconded by Councilmember Carroll. Do we have any requests for public comment?
We do, Mayor. We have 2 requests to speak via Zoom.
Why don't we take public comment now, and then we'll conclude with discussion at the dais and a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first speaker is Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Yes, council members, Mayor Agrin. This was subject matter for a special meeting. I mean, this has no benefit to the residents or citizens of Irvine. It's just another demonstration of James Mai wrapping himself in the flag at the expense of Irvine citizens and residents to make it seem like he's somehow a better American than his neighbors. This doesn't promote unity. Look, it actually promotes division. I'll show you why. Flag Day is celebrated by the county every year, or it was last year or the year before at William R. Mason Park. And the city already has a field of valor that occurs on every 4th of July. So this is just really redundant, although it wants to be perpetual, but that's space that we could be using for other things. Certainly, more displays of flags isn't going to make us more united or more American. Those things need to occur in classrooms, in places like this, in town halls, in city halls, in parks, amongst people, not with displays in performative justice. I'm opposed to this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jeremy. Jeremy, you may unmute your mic.
Yeah, hi there, Jeremy Figueroa, Irvine resident. I'm actually opposed to this as well. I don't think it really puts forward any substantial policy. I think we have American flags everywhere. I mean, everywhere I go, I see them. In some ways, gratuitous use of American flags, it actually shows a little bit of partisanship. Unfortunately, the American flag has been hijacked by some groups in one way or the other, where if you have like 20 American flags in front of your house, you know which way they vote and their political party affiliation. I don't want to turn Irvine into Huntington Beach. I think we're a much better city than Huntington Beach, and I associate gratuitous use of American flags with partisanship, not bipartisanship. I think it actually does the opposite. And the problem with this is, if you vote no, then suddenly it's so easy for the other side to say, you're against America, you're anti-American, you're not supporting 1,000, a million American flags. You must, it's sort of a contest of who could be more patriotic, and it teeters onto elements of nationalism. And I feel very uncomfortable with that. So I think there's far more pressing issues in Irvine than this item, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude our public comment?
Yes, that is all, Mayor.
With that, I'll turn to Councilmember Liu. There is a motion before us. Please speak to the motion as well as any other comments you may have. Councilmember Liu, followed by Councilmember Martinez Franco.
So I share some of the concerns expressed by the comments. Well, I guess I'll start with, can city manager maybe answer this question? Or do we have flags on all of our city public properties like community centers and parks, or most of them already?
Generally, we do at existing public facility locations have flags.
Okay. And so, yeah, I do share the concern about money and also about the upkeep. The flags are a very important symbol of our country, and we shouldn't do this in a very superficial way, I hate to use this word for lack of better terms, we need to consider this. How do we, where do we put it, the location? How do we upkeep it? Make sure that we do have the light to properly have it on display. And are we duplicating efforts? Are we already having, why do we choose 100 if this is a celebration of our country's 250th? Are we just filling out the numbers to 250, or and there's so much to think about on things like this. And my question would be, have we done a survey on what's currently already out there? If there is something that we will consider the long-term upkeep of this, the maintenance of it, as well as do we really need to do this right now? And so would it be a better idea if we would just buy little flags and have all the residents, have one at our 4th of July parade, for example? So these are things that I'm considering. And also, I just wanted to point out that we do have a City of Irvine partnership with Irvine 211 Marine Adoption Committee that is hosting a Field of Valor between July 1st and 13th at Irvine Civic Center lawn. And I encourage all my council colleagues to also adopt it. Our team is going to sponsor 2 of the flags in honor of 2 veterans. And I think this is very meaningful to not only have this opportunity to show our patriotism, we also honor the veterans that have contributed to our city and to our county in general. So I think we should think about this.
Thank you, Councilmember Liu. Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with a lot of the comments of Vice Mayor Mai, and also the state of the country, like other concerns that we have from the public. As an immigrant minority, I know that there is a lot of racism built into the flags. However, I saw Vice Mayor initiative of discussing this as an olive branch to unify our city, and I suggested that we can do some plaques installed in those flags as a monument of honoring all the immigrants, heroes that we have in our communities. And having some quotes about them will signify kind of the Statue of the Liberty when the immigrants were welcome in this country. And this is how the city of Irvine is about, welcoming everybody. So I think it's a good idea if it's possible. I will consider the budget, of course. If the budget it's too much for these, I might reconsider, but I will support this if it's feasible. Thank you. And I don't know if I need to do a motion to do the plaque, including into Vice Mayor proposal, but let me know.
All right, Councilmember Go.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some concern in terms of labor costs, provided we just raised our minimum wage standard. Is there a way staff can perhaps look into technologies that would minimize that? As you know, 100 flags maintenance will require quite a bit of manual labor in some sense. So if we could figure out a way to lessen the impact when we have half flag days, half mast, or days where inclement weather prevents us from having to raise it, things like that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Go. Councilmember Mai.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to address Councilmember Liu on the 100 flags, why that was selected. It was actually an arbitrary number. we could have did 250, but then people would have been up in arms. So I just went to 100. The motion is to direct staff to figure out if it's 100 or whatever's appropriate, whatever we need to fill out the remaining amount of areas and public spaces that aren't, that makes sense. To addressing Councilmember Franco, yes, absolutely. That is something that would be great to have there, is to have something maybe at the bottom of there, recognizing the contributions of refugees, immigrants to American culture and society. I think that's a fabulous idea, to honor those different individuals from various backgrounds that came to this country to make this country great. And that's the diversity of our country should be celebrated at the same time as well. I fully believe that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maya. Let me just offer a comment and see if the motion as presented is broad enough to cover my interests, my concerns, as well as those that have been expressed by others. I think the difficulty here is in the title, the word "a permanent patriotic landmark program." Permanent. That means day in, day out, year in, year out, attending to the 100 flags in addition to everything else our staff does. And I would ask for the staff, as part of this motion, if it's agreeable to the maker of the motion, to consider a temporary flag display throughout 2026 as well. When the city, I believe it was when the city observed its 50th anniversary, we had some kind of a flag program on the front lawn of City Hall, and I believe there were more than 50. There were 75 or 100 flags implanted on the City Hall lawn. It was very, very impressive. It was temporary, of course, and it was sponsored by folks who planted those flags. I believe the sponsorship was something on the order of $75 to cover the costs. So I would hope in voting for this motion, which I intend to do, that it's broad enough as written to have staff consider alternatives to the idea of a permanent flag display and come back to us with those various ideas, related costs, and so forth. If the maker of the motion deems his motion to be broad enough to include that kind of direction to staff, I'd be all for it.
Sure, Mayor. Absolutely. I mean, it's the motion is to get it to the city staff to make that determination about cost outlines, the entire project and program, the community partnerships, and also the implementation. So I'm very open to that. It's what makes sense for the city.
All right. If my comments then are deemed to be part of the motion included in the direction to staff as a friendly kind of amendment, and if the second will agree to that.
Yes, I'll agree to that. Thank you, Mayor.
I think then we're in a position for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
Yes.
Mayor Agron.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. And we will now move on to item 2.4. Would the clerk please identify this item by subject?
Consideration of a request by Councilmember Liu to discuss support for Assembly Bill 91, MENA Inclusion Act.
Thank you. I'll turn now to our proponent, Councilmember Liu, to present this item.
So I want to thank the community for coming to our office and ask us to support this resolution, to support the bill currently being discussed at the State Assembly. And this is just, so by way of background, in our current census designation, residents of Wasomina is Middle East and North Africa. So residents from this geographic region are actually classified as white. And they do not have another option to classify themselves if they would like to be designated as a different category. And back, I believe, last year, that the Biden administration had decided to create this new category by the 2030 census. And several states had decided to move ahead with it before the federal census officially made this a category. Now, and I also want to thank the constituents for coming to let us know that they need our city support to show that we support this resolution and support that they become recognized. And I also want to thank Mayor for asking us for the clarification to clarify what exactly the definition of MENA is. So just to have a little reason why we're doing this. The bill in the Assembly right now is AB 91, and it will correct a problem of having issues of categories of residents not being recognized as a separate category, and these the reason why having them in a category that they don't belong in is, but they would rather not be classified as, is so when we have aggregated data, it leads to inaccurate planning or inequitable distribution of resources, and also it does not support separate research that may be necessary for medicine, for other reasons, for science. And so in many cities in California, they had already passed a resolution in support of AB 91. For example, most recently, Berkeley just passed the resolution. City of Anaheim, Richmond, Bell, up and down the states have been passing resolutions in support of this bill. The practical result will be that people will be able to self-identify in the census, and it will be consistent with their ancestral origin geographically. And this will be a start to ensure that we will be able to have a better representation of the population. So when it comes to, say, qualification for any minority focused policy, they will be able to be part of that and participate. And so I hope that this will, and if you have any questions, I welcome that. And if we have anybody in the public that would like to comment, I welcome my council colleagues' comment as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Liu. Let me turn to our city clerk to ask if there are public commenters who request to be heard.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 requests to speak.
Why don't we take those now, and then we'll return to the dais for further discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could call forward Ghazal.
Welcome.
Hi, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Irvine City Council. My name is Ghazal, and I'm a 16-year-old Egyptian American. Your vote will directly impact my future and the future of thousands like me. Right now, people like me, Middle Eastern and North African Americans, are not given the same opportunity as others to express their identity. When I fill out a form asking for my race or ethnicity, I'm always forced to select something I don't identify with, something that doesn't represent who I am, and I'm told it is my only option. That is not confusing, it is erasing. I've always wondered why. Why am I not given the choice to select Middle Eastern North African as my ethnicity? Because that certainly is what I identify myself to be. We are distinct people. We come from North African and Middle Eastern regions, rich in language, history, culture, and tradition. We celebrate different holidays, we speak different languages, and we carry different stories, just like every other community represented on those forms, and we deserve to be seen just like them. All my people want is the same choice as others are already given to claim our identity with dignity and accuracy. So please give us that chance that you have given to everyone else. I urge you to vote yes on giving the MENA designation to those who identify as such. Do it for equity, do it for fairness, and do it for people like me who just want to be recognized for who we are. I look forward to your anonymous support of my people. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next speaker is Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you, Mayor Agron, council members. Certainly, I am in support of this measure, supporting the bill itself. It's already passed the Appropriations Committee. That's not been addressed in Ms. Liu's statement or memo. But I want to just say that MENA is racist just as much as Asian American national Hawaiian Native Islander is racist because it puts all of us together. And in fact, Armenians and Iranians are not Middle Eastern. Both of those countries are located on the Asian continent. And just to give you some perspective, people like me are white. I didn't get the benefit of affirmative action. Other Armenians did not get the benefit of the affirmative action, even though they're here since the late 1900s working on farms side by side with Japanese and Filipinos and Latinos. We didn't get that benefit. And certainly we are a marginalized community and we are a minority. And that minority was caused by tragic acts. So just put that, wrap that around. And lastly, I just want to say, this is not anything of goodwill by Ms. Liu. This was performative justice and identity politics because she got caught up recognizing the Holocaust twice this year. To support when she should have recognized Arab Heritage Day and Jewish Heritage Day and Armenian Heritage Day and Armenian Remembrance Day. She decided to go with the Jews, and then she had to backslide and then come back to MENA to make it seem like she's well balanced. This is nothing. This resolution itself is nothing because it's already passed the appropriations bill. But I'm in support of it because it allows me to actually be recognized and get quote unquote diversity, equity, and inclusion recognition. Something that Ms. Martinez-Franco didn't recognize before. Thank you.
Thank you for that public comment. I think that concludes our public comment, does it not?
Correct. Thank you.
With that, I'll turn to my colleagues again. Councilmember Liu.
First, let me address this. I believe in the last time we had already talked about this, that the Armenian genocide have been recognized by the council in a private setting. Maybe we should have done a better job publicizing that, or as well as the Arab American Week that have been recognized by this council in a private event. I admit that maybe we should have done a better job publicizing that, but that have been recognized. We are not picking and choosing this. I have been approached by members of Arab community, Persian community, many of the people who will be impacted by this bill to support this because they feel like their city support, these are residents of Irvine, and they feel like their city's official support will make them feel more comfortable in the city where they live, work, and play. So this is not about performance, and the fact that it had passed the Appropriation Committee is not a guarantee that this bill will eventually pass, even though we do want that to happen. It has been here before, and it was eventually not passed. Hopefully this time it will, with more support and more bipartisan support. And this is something that is already going to be done anyway. And to answer anybody's questions about whether this is a racial, religious, or anything, no, it's not. It's literally geographic. So it's about anybody in with a family origin from the Middle Eastern or North African countries. So And the other thing is, any census reporting is self-reporting. So if you don't feel like this is the category that you want to report yourself as, that is up to you. You do have a choice. And we can all go on. I'm not going to belabor this point, but if we did reach out to the author of this bill and get clarifications. And everybody, I encourage everyone to contact the assembly and find out who exactly are covered in this category. And that is how we did our research. We had talked to lots of residents. We had talked to the author of the bill, talked to a lot of people who have been involved in this, and try to figure out what the impact is. And I'll give one example. This is my final point, that I have talked to a lot of residents who may be affected by this bill. And what they say is currently they are categorized as white. And these are business owners who unfortunately would not qualify for SBA minority loans because of this categorization. So they want this bill to pass, so they will be able to, because in reality, they face the inequality of access to capital. And so they asked me to help them with this in support of this bill, and hopefully this will pass in Sacramento. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Liu. Councilmember Vice Mayor Mai.
Thank you, Mayor. And just wanted to speak on this item, not the content of it, but I just want to remind my colleagues, Councilmember Liu, that there is a procedure that we have in the city when it comes to us as a group supporting assembly bills, any state or federal laws that are pending. We're more than welcome, of course, to always individually support, send letters of support, show support, garner support from the public as individuals. As a group, though, we do have a legislative committee that these things should go through, that is prepared for the city to address these things. And we do that because we want to make sure that they go through the proper steps, proper channels. Our consultants are taken aware of this. Our legal counsel's also aware of this. It's just there's a process in place for us to do that, and I understand that you were having a little difficulty with contacting some of the legislative committees or getting notice but we'll make sure to ensure that your voice is heard on the legislative committee, if you can make sure to have those go through. But in terms of the content of this, I'm generally supportive of this. Just want to make sure that in the future, everyone knows. I mean, we don't want to run into a situation where every assembly bill is going to come forward at every single council meeting just because we support it. Even if we do support it or we don't support it, I support a lot of assembly bills, but there's a time and place. So just a reminder on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's the
Thank you, Council Member. Appreciate those comments. We'll turn now to Council Member Martinez Franco.
Hi, thank you, and thank you to Councilmember Liu for putting this in front of us. I know that I read a little bit that this is very supported by the Assembly and the state, so we're having very good hopes on this passing. Me too, I got approached by the community on this issue. I never thought that they were not classified as a minority, and like Councilmember Liu, they don't qualify for some of the funding for their small businesses just because they are classified as white. And that is a big problem in minorities and people of color, which usually they don't get funding because of there is a lot of barriers in there, as well as finding housing, and there is discrimination. So this will allow them to really get the help they need. So thank you so much. I know that this is going to be really important for the Middle Eastern communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Martinez Franco. Do we have an actual motion in front of us?
I'll make that motion now.
And what is the motion?
Can I make that? Okay. Oh, wait. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'll make the motion for the City of Irvine to support AB 91 MENA Inclusion Act to ensure Middle Eastern and North African groups are accurately accounted for during data collection.
All right, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Go. Let me just comment and kind of associate myself with some of the observations of the Vice Mayor. There are typically about 5,000 bills that are moving in Sacramento at any one time. I think we need to be very careful about how we deploy our resources in support as a city council, as an entire city council, behind any one bill. And I think that council member, the vice mayor, made another important point, which is that we as individual elected officials on city stationery can communicate our individual support for these bills, and that's very important for any bill that you like. We have free speech rights as well, and doesn't require council approval to actively be in support of a bill. I think this is a bill that will pass with or without our support. I think those of us who support this legislation should avail ourselves of our individual opportunities to communicate that with our own legislators here in Irvine and also with others in Sacramento. I also think that it is important that support for bills be requested first by having it go through the Legislative Affairs Committee. To do that gives us an opportunity to screen them. One thing I sort of fear is that with all the bills that I personally have an interest in, coupled with all the other bills that others have an interest in, we need to establish a procedure so that we are not consuming all the time we have at the dais weighing in on one bill or another that's moving in Sacramento. This, I think, is a meritorious piece of legislation. It does open the door to others that are not properly represented in the census. I suspect we'll be returning to this subject again, but with those understandings and the suggestion that support for any legislation be referred right away to the Legislative Affairs Committee, I think we can move forward with this one now, and hopefully with other meritorious legislation we might support in the future. With that, unless Councilmember Liu, I think you've made the sale already, but if you want to add more, you're welcome to do so.
Yes, if I may add this part that I forgot to do that in my motion, that I would like to also include the resolution that I submitted along with the memo.
All right.
Motion.
That's understood. With that, no further comments. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
Yes.
Mayor Agron.
Yes.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you. That concludes this item. Thank you, Councilmember Liu. We'll now move to item 2.5. Would the clerk please identify this item by title and subject?
Consideration of a request by Vice Mayor Mai to discuss the establishment of a citywide holiday toy drive program.
Thank you. I'll turn to the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Mai.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to read this quickly here in introduction and put in some personal commentary here. I respectfully ask that the City Council consider directing staff to develop and launch the city's of Irvine's first annual citywide holiday toy drive program, a unifying initiative that brings together residents, businesses, schools, nonprofits, and city departments to collect and distribute new toys to children in need throughout Irvine during the holiday season. This program would build upon the long-standing toy drive we have supported since 2007 for the 211 Marine Battalion at Camp Pendleton, which has become a meaningful tradition for many in our community. By expanding these efforts to create a broader citywide campaign, we have the opportunity to deepen our impact, reach more families, and strengthen our civic fabric during a time when compassion and generosity are most needed. So I want to add in here, I've received many comments, emails from everyone on this matter and this subject here. The reason I put 211 on here was to explicitly say we are going to augment and support their efforts. There was some confusion with the public and in general with 211 as well, which I wanted to address here, is that we are not looking to replace in any way, shape, or form. Alternatively, we are trying to support the efforts of 211. Also, the many other nonprofits that exist in the city, including mine and many other efforts between like Families Forward and Salvation Army, who do collect toys for children and families in need in Irvine that have been for the past 15 years or so, or continually basis here. This motion or this memo is to direct the staff to find a way that we can create a toy drive. And I want to do a little revision on here as well. I don't know if this is the right time to do it, but if this does pass, to not just make it a holiday drive, but make it an ongoing toy drive through the city of Irvine, supporting the many families. We are currently feeding approximately 600 individuals and families that are of low income at Heritage Park through a food distribution program. Many of those are children that are coming through there that go without toys for holidays or for birthdays as well. This memo and this effort is to supplement and help those families that are living in Irvine and that are in need, not just during the holiday, but in general. And we are looking to, well, I'm hoping that we can do something on a greater scale, and I'm going to direct the staff if we do, have this move forward to work with these nonprofits such as 211 and work with the nonprofits in creating an even bigger network and to not impede, of course, their normal operations, their normal toy drive, but to do something separate and find different resources where we can gather donations, which there are so many people that want to give in Irvine. We should tap into that. We should create something officially through the city. So I'm going to continue here. The city toy drive would establish a network of official donation sites at libraries, our new libraries, community centers, and other public facilities, complementing but remaining distinct from the city drop-off location dedicated to 211 Marine Battalion Drive. Invite volunteer participation from youth groups, service clubs, and residents of all ages, encouraging intergenerational engagement, partnering with nonprofits and school-based programs to identify and distribute toys to families in needs across Irvine. Launch a citywide outreach campaign to encourage giving, raising awareness, and highlighting the importance of community support during the holiday season and all year round. Feature a friendly competition between competing schools, businesses, and neighborhood groups with categories such as most toys donated, best decorated drop-off box, and Spirit of Giving awards recognized at a potential public celebration. With that, I would like to make a motion for the city manager to return within 90 days with a detailed implementation plan for a citywide toy drive program while working with nonprofit leaders within the city to help augment them as well.
I second that motion.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor and Councilmember James Mai, and a second by Councilmember Martinez Franco. With the motion properly before us, is there, why don't we take public comment before we turn to one round for the council and then a vote?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no requests to, or excuse me, there is one request to speak from Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Yes. Mayor Agrin, just briefly again, is this special meeting subject matter? I mean, it seems like, first of all, you guys don't want any public participation doing it at 9 o'clock in the morning. And second of all, I think one thing that is being overlooked is in Irvine, there's like charity overload and charity exhaustion. Between the stuff that already occurs on schools with donating to the schools to make up for the gap in tax income to fund the schools, the public schools, how many things, can't we bring things to the special meetings that actually have a benefit to the city and to the residents, not require something from them? Honestly, this is not special meeting subject matter, and it's a waste of city resources, and you're requiring people to come here and talk about things like this at 9 o'clock in the morning, at 10 o'clock in the morning on a work day? Thank you.
And that is all, Mayor.
Thank you. Let me just clarify. We call special meetings for certain purposes from time to time. This one was called largely to deal with items that have been on the council agenda over and over again, items that we've not been able to get to. And the suggestion was, and the action was, for me to call a special meeting to see if we can get caught up on these items, which I'm pleased to say we're doing this morning. So with that, I'll turn to my council colleagues, Councilmember Liu, and that Councilmember Liu will be followed by Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Vice Mayor for bringing up this memo and bringing this maybe to the public's attention. We all participated in the last toy drive, I believe, and my concern is there is a long-established program by 211, and I have to say that I've been approached by some of the members that expressed concerns after this memo came out, and they were worried about diverting resources. And so I think a little more considerations. I don't know if the 211 Adoption Committee have been consulted on this at all. And I would like to see that they are part of this and they've been consulted and they, have their questions answered, their concerns answered, because I'm not the author of the memo and I don't have an answer for them. But I can certainly understand, especially in light of the fact that many of the members are going to be deployed later on this year. And so it is especially important for the families to get the resources and all the donations that they can have, and we can show them as much support as possible during this time when their loved ones are going to be away. And so I would really like to see if they can become part of this, or maybe have this issue postponed, continue until a later date, and have them participate and have their input considered. Would you be open to that?
Yeah, let me address that.
Let me, please address me. Then I'll call on Councilmember Mai to respond to that question at this time. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I've spoken to the members of 211 Marine. And as I mentioned earlier, I put it in here that this will be distinct from complementing 211. It was in this, it was actually written here in the memo. If you look at the details on this, it is complementing, and it is in addition to them. But I've also reassured that I've reassured the members of 211 that if this resolution or this motion passes here, we will be talking directly with the city staff and having them contact 211 to work in conjunction, since out of respect of their 17 years of their service to the city of Irvine, to not impede that, as I mentioned, and to complement what they're doing. I tried to make that explicitly clear on the memo, but I'm again reaffirming that it is not to impede or to not replace. It is to actually complement them, and when the staff goes to put this program together, this isn't a program at all. This memo is not a program. I'm not a program developer. I don't develop toy drives. I do them, but I don't know how to run them. I'm going to direct the staff to do that. They can formulate the toy drive any way they want, any way they see fit that works with everyone within the city, not just our needs, but the needs of the various, and in respect to the history of all the other organizations that do things for children. I'm wanting to just increase our giving and help.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez Franco.
I want to thank you, Vice Mayor Mai, for putting forward this. I believe that there is enough to go around for all the nonprofit organizations. As a personal story, someone who struggled for many years as a single mom to provide her children with presents during Christmas, many times with no money, and living in a city that is supposed to be the most wealthy. And it is hard to get into the list of these nonprofit organizations because they are super overwhelmed with all the requests from other cities. So I think if we incorporate the new program that we have, Urban Cares, into this program, and just providing the families that are about to lose their homes, or that we are helping them that have children in the IUSD, and prioritize them, it's going to be completely different from any other nonprofit, and we can allow these nonprofits to help other cities that have needs greater than ours. So I think this is such a great program that is not going to affect any other nonprofit organization, and I'm pretty sure a lot of residents from the city of Irvine are going to be really happy that we are prioritizing children in the IUSD and testing school district here in Irvine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez Franco. Councilmember Liu, then I'm going to offer a comment, and I hope we can move to a roll call vote. Councilmember Liu?
Okay. Well, so I have to say that we've been approached by a lot of members from the 211 Adoption Committee ever since this memo came out. And they're really worried about having their resources diverted. And we've all participated in a lot of these toy drives or donation drives, like they just had the baby product drive, which our office also recruited a lot of the local Rotary clubs in Orange County to participate and brought them a lot of the resources and donations. And the concern is a lot of people can only do one, and they don't want to have other competing toy drives at the same time. So all they want is to have their input before we make a decision on that on their behalf. While they appreciate the thought of that behind it, they really would like to be able to have a say on this. And because of that, I really cannot say I know better than the Marines and the Marine families or those who help them. And I would really hope that we can continue this item until we speak to them.
Thank you, Councilmember Liu. Let me just comment. I think the motion as it's drawn is to refer this to staff, not to actually put our vote on a specific program at this time, but to refer it to staff. You, Councilmember Mai, offered a couple of comments that struck home for me. Use the term year-round. And I think what we really need here is to have staff take a look at the creation of a comprehensive plan, an actual plan in the best planned city in the United States of America, a plan to organize the giving, whether it's of toys or other charitable donations, to organize this in a fashion that is comprehensive, does over the course of the next 90 days the preparation of a plan, absolutely hear from the 211 Battalion and also others that have a stake in all of this. The other thing that occurs to me is, you know, typically it's at the holidays, we have a toy drive, typically for Christmas and other holidays. Thanksgiving, we open our hearts to include others, to make sure on Thanksgiving, people who otherwise wouldn't have a great Thanksgiving dinner have a great Thanksgiving dinner. And it's led me to think about, well, what about the rest of the year? You know, makes us feel better about ourselves, but if you actually look at a calendar, Christmas is one day, and Thanksgiving is one day, and what about all the other days? That's why I think we really need, maybe using this motion, to take a comprehensive look at how we might organize the charitable impulses that people have in our city. I think this motion is broad enough to do that. Obviously, I think this should be taken to the Community Services Commission as well, and also include in all of this all the various groups to make sure we coordinate and rationalize their missions as part of our own. The Irvine Cares program is, of course, being built at the city at this time, so I think this motion is appropriate. We can use this motion, its direction to staff, to be taking a more comprehensive look at all of this. And I would suggest come back to us within 60 days if they could, rather than 90, but leaving it at 90 is fine. And therefore, I'll be, with those understandings, I would be voting for the motion. Councilmember Liu, you'll have the last word, and then we will turn to the clerk for a roll call vote.
I just wanted to clarify if we are asking for a comprehensive donation drive, not just toy drive, and for all year round and not just specifically to benefit the 211 Marines?
Well, yes, I'd like us to get this over to staff to actually, we have experts on our staff who are good at thinking through these things, and I really resist the idea of trying to design a specific program right here at the dais when frankly, we don't have the skills to do that.
Right, my only concern is just because I've been approached by them that they're, worried, and they had asked me to please reconsider this and have
Yes.
the issue discussed with them before we take a vote on this.
Well,
So that's why I propose if we
that would
can continue this item.
If I might, that would be within the ambit of the motion, as I understand it, to come back within 90 days. During those 90 days, our city staff ought to definitely be talking to the 211. Look, I'm very committed to their program. It's wonderful. I don't want to now be making a choice between, oh, we have all this limited program and this might dilute what the 211 is. I can promise you, for myself, very invested in the 211 program, that I will personally do whatever I can to see to it that not only is their program protected, its success going on into the future, but that it in fact grows beyond what it is now. That's my mission as I see it. I'll turn finally to Councilmember Mai. Last word on this.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Liu, for the question. But absolutely, 100%, this is not just a holiday drive, as I mentioned when I was speaking. This should be a general drive, a comprehensive toy drive outside of the holiday season as well. 211 will be included. The 211 leadership will be included. I've already said to the staff, please, if this passes, communicate with 211, and even more specifically, Tina Anderson at 211 right now. So we will make sure that 211's history is respected, and we want to grow upon that. I want to grow upon that, and I want to use this platform to create an even bigger net, not just for them, but for all the children in Irvine, the children at IUSD, to be taken care of as well. So yes, it is not just specifically a holiday toy drive, but we're directing the staff within the motion, which is already put forward and seconded, to have staff take a look and develop a comprehensive plan.
Thank you. With that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Carroll is absent. Councilmember Go?
Yes.
Councilmember Liu?
No.
Councilmember Martinez Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Treseder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai?
Yes.
Mayor Agron?
Yes.
Carries 5-1 with Councilmember Liu voting no and Councilmember Carroll absent.
Thank you. And we'll look for staff reporting on this, even possibly a progress report before the 90 days. Thank you. That concludes this item. Item 2.6, our final item. Would the clerk please identify this item by subject?
Consideration of a request by Mayor Agron to discuss the development of a city program to ensure due process protections for all Irvine-connected individuals.
Thank you. I don't have to tell my colleagues here at the dais that this is a time of extraordinary stress for those who may be undocumented or have family members. We're talking about immigrants, legal and otherwise, who are being targeted by the federal government, and in some cases mistakenly arrested, detained, and even deported without benefit of due process. Some of these horrific incidents have happened elsewhere in the United States. We hear about them every day. And we as a community, which in my estimation probably have 10 or 20,000 people altogether, whether it's at workplaces or at their residence, these individuals are, in many cases, undocumented or not properly documented. They have family members who would be affected, of course, as well. And so my concern is that we as a city be ready to see to it that people are not unconstitutionally arrested, detained, even deported. We all swore an oath to the U.S. Constitution to support it and uphold it. That, of course, includes the Fifth Amendment protections of due process, 14th Amendment protections of due process. And I think this is our duty. The state of California is a so-called sanctuary state, so our police are quite clear in what they can and cannot do in the event that ICE officials descend upon the city of Irvine. I had an opportunity, along with my council colleagues, Vice Mayor Mai and Council Member Martinez Franco, to speak with the governor's staff on this matter when we were in Sacramento. And what was clear to me was that a state of readiness to understand what we could or should do as a city to protect these due process rights. That the state of California wasn't really ready, that various cities are not ready, and that we are not ready here in the city of Irvine. So what I am proposing is that when the call comes, 7 a.m. one morning, that various workplaces or schools or various residents, individuals there have been arrested and are on their way to detention and even possible deportation without protections. My concern is that that not be the case and that we provide for the exercise of due process rights where they're needed, as applies to residents, workers, others connected to the city of Irvine. To do that requires us not to provide legal assistance, but to coordinate legal assistance. There are many, many nonprofit organizations, individual lawyers, pro bono legal assistance that can and should be available to anyone affected by an arrest that occurs here in the city in connection with immigration status. That being the case, I want to open this matter to discussion, but I'd like to make a motion to give direction to our city staff to help coordinate, recommend a coordinated program with coordinated resources that could be available and would be available to individuals upon request. That's not the official motion at this time. I do want to say that my office undertook to prepare what is referred to as a pamphlet here, Immigration Response Resources, because we're getting questions all the time as to mixed status households, others who feel vulnerable, what resources are available to them, how might they properly prepare to assert their rights. And this basically consists of a compilation of resources that are available, but I think we need to kind of build upon this, have a more sophisticated program in place. Again, not at cost to the city, other than staff to help coordinate the availability of those legal resources, but not providing for the legal resources ourselves, not paying for lawyers. And so that's where my thinking is now. We did talk to a state official, highly placed state official, about all of this, and received a favorable response as to the path we're on here. So I'm pleased to put this before us and hope we can act on it and act quickly. We don't want ugly incidents in this city where people's constitutional rights are violated, and we're not ready to defend those rights and defend those individuals, at least provide counsel who can assert a defense. With that, happy to turn to my colleagues, Councilmember Liu, followed by Councilmember Martinez-Franco. Please go ahead. Councilmember Liu.
Thank you, Mayor, for working on this. This is one of the first things that we discussed as I got on council, that you had asked me what my priorities are, and thank you for helping us with this effort to put together, and thank you to Oliver and the city staff for putting together this pamphlet. I'm very happy that we're finally able to have this pamphlet and have the information and resources put together. And I believe Oliver and the staff are still working on the part about turning it into a easier to carry card with a QR code. So in case on one side of it will be the immediate rights that they can read in bullet points, and then the back will be a QR code to get to all the resources in the pamphlet. And I just want to say that our office is currently working on translating this pamphlet in language. So we're able to do Mandarin, Korean, and Spanish in our office, and I welcome anybody who's able to do it in a different language, Farsi, Vietnamese, any of the languages that we have close to 100 spoken in Irvine. If you have the ability to do this, please contact our office. And we need everybody's help in this effort. Part of what makes us special as a country is that we guarantee due process rights. And we do not take anything away without due process, and we protect the life, liberty, and property of anybody. And the Supreme Court has been reaffirming the Fifth Amendment due process right and 14th Amendment due process right to anybody physically present in the United States, case after case since 1903. And we can't let that go away. So thank you for doing this, and I look forward to helping this. My only question is, are we committing any kind of funding to the organizations that participate in this? And also, and so how is it going to affect us physically? I just want to make sure that we make that clarification. And also, there is a vetting process on who is participating in the program.
Thank you. Let me respond to that quickly. It's my intention, again, that we play a coordinating role. There are many, many nonprofit organizations, many lawyers who offer pro bono services. It would not be backstopping those organizations. It would be creating a coordinated response and availability. Obviously, there would be some staff time involved in putting this together, but I don't anticipate the cost of that to be a great deal. I'll turn to the city manager on that. I want that clarification.
Yeah, if the city council does approve the motion, moving forward, staff will assess how to develop the program. There'll probably be a need to spend a modest sum to try to package the program together. Based on the intent of the memo, though, it appears it's organizing the program, not providing direct legal services, but organizing the pro bono legal services to protect due process rights. So there'll be some programmatic costs, but no, the intention, I think, is not to have the city fund the actual services.
So we're just giving referral services. Thank you. If I may make one more point.
Yes, Councilmember Liu.
I have signed up with the Orange County Rapid Response Organization as an elected, and they are looking for elected officials to sign up with them and allow them, if in case there is any type of illegal activities that deny anybody their due process, they want to call upon the elected to bear witness to the incident. So I encourage my council colleague to also sign up as well.
That's excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Martinez Franco.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Mayor. This is a really personal issue for me. For someone who lived in fear for so many years, just to see the Irvine Police Department driving behind my back as an undocumented, it's a very scary thing. So I can imagine how people feel and not having the proper information, that police doesn't collaborate with ICE when these raids happen. It's important also to know. However, during our visit to Sacramento, we learned that the language that the state have put out there for the little cards that you can read what to say is probably not the best language that you should use. So I don't know if we confirmed that, because I know that they were going to confirm if that was the case. But also the second thing that they warned us, that we cannot put a target in our backs. And I just want to make sure that the staff is aware that we shouldn't be doing this, publicizing it, so we don't put our communities in risk by doing this. On the other hand, I want to ask them to consider very carefully in how are we going to advertise this program to be successful, since we cannot really go out there and advertise it.
You raised some good points. Thank you, Councilmember Martinez Franco. Councilmember Mai, and then Councilmember Liu again. Councilmember Mai, go ahead.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is an important issue. I went to Sacramento with Mayor and Councilmember Franco here, and we spoke to a number of individuals. This is an important issue for me as well. I have a nonprofit that supports people with pro bono legal work. Some of them, all sorts of immigration has been an issue, even more so in the recent times. We help them with other legal issues as well, and there was just a Vietnamese person that was arrested in Cornell, Washington, sent to South Sudan. It really inflamed the community over the past few weeks, saying, what are we going to do if we get sent to Sudan or Sri Lanka or wherever? So I understand this issue very well here. My concern also going to Sacramento was meeting with Tom Umberg, who stated, for one, you don't want to draw attention to the city. You don't want to paint a target on your back. And the other thing that he said that I'm aware of too, because we do this work, is when it gets to complex immigration issues, we refer them out. I'm speaking of the nonprofit, but I also have the same view here, is that we should refer them out to the experts. There are a number of experts in Orange County that really know how to handle these situations. And I would rather refer it out versus try to tackle it as a city just because we don't have the expertise and we don't have the resources for that. I have no problem referring it out and pointing them to the right direction. I do have concerns as local elected officials trying to support or yes or no to state or national issues. That's my main concern. I think that we should just leave it to the state and national, even though we have an opinion, but also we should refer out to the experts who have the legal expertise to not get in trouble or to point these people to the right direction instead of building it something in-house on our own.
Thank you, Councilmember Mai, Councilmember Liu, and then maybe I'll introduce a motion.
So,
Well, we need to also obviously hear from citizens, but Councilmember Liu, why don't you offer your comment, then we'll call on the public to comment, and we'll go from there.
I just wanted to add that this has been a discussion between, well, at least Mayor and I had many discussions about this, and I understand the concern, and Oliver was there. We were all talking about how the state is a sanctuary state, so there's no need for us to declare to be a sanctuary city, but we do need to, as elected official, uphold our residents' rights. And Mayor did bring up a good point about how we don't want to be a target, and we have many discussions on how to distribute the pamphlets, how to distribute the cards, and without drawing attention. And this have been the concerns of many organizations as well. I've been in touch with so many people that had the same concerns, and they all had their own information. And I'm glad to see this come to fruition. And if I may suggest that, Mr. City Manager, if it's possible, to maybe publish the methodology on how we select the sources, the resources for the people, just so they know who they're contacting and which one works better for them. In that case, it's easier for them to pick. I mean, I understand if something like this happens to anybody, they will be in a state of panic. And we're trying to make it as easy for them to find the right resources for them as possible. If that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me offer a simple motion that is, I hope, broad enough, and then we'll take public comment before final discussion here. I move that we direct staff to develop an immigration response readiness program coordinating such an effort to ensure due process rights for all in the city of Irvine. I'd also like to add to that I'd like staff to be reporting back to the City Council within 30 days regarding such a program. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. That motion offered by me has been seconded by Councilmember Liu. It's properly before us. Let's take public comment at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one request to speak from Eric Nishanian. Mr. Nishanian, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you very much, council members, Mayor Agron. Just briefly, you know, the city can't guarantee the due process rights of speakers in council meetings. This seems like an endeavor that's well beyond its scope and its ability and its fiduciary duties. It also puts the city in a potential conflict of interest in particular cases where perhaps the person that is the target of an ICE deportation is actually a valid individual to be deported or to be on that list. I'll give you my anecdotal. I was pulled off a plane by Homeland Security in 2003. I'm a Christian who was born in Hollywood, American citizen. Oh yeah, and I'm an attorney. The same thing happened to Judge Dikran Tabrizian that I know, Larry, you've had an opportunity to meet at the Armenian Remembrance Day thing that occurred here in Irvine. You know, this really translated into the city should just put a list of MALDEF and CARE, CAR, and all the other, the NAACP and the ACLU and the Orange County Bar Association with all their phone numbers and just say, hey, look, if you get in trouble, contact these people. Because this is a waste of time and money too, and it also puts the city in liability, and the city is just not in a position to guarantee people's due process rights. It can't do it here in city council meetings. It's trampled on my due process rights, and none of you said anything, even though apparently Melinda Liu is supposed to bear witness to these things. So, you know, I don't know what you guys are doing. This is the same thing with like a year-long donation. If you want to have year-long donations, put a freaking bin in City Hall and let people come and drop off their toys. What are you guys doing? You're wasting money and time. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
We do, Mr. Mayor. One more request from Jason Garshfield. Mr. Garshfield, you may unmute your mic. You have 90 seconds.
Hi, thank you. So this might be shocking, but I am going to take the unpopular position that we should uphold federal immigration law. I believe that too is part of due process insofar as that law is violated, and I certainly respect people having doubts about the current administration's intentions. People already have a right to an attorney under the Sixth Amendment. That was affirmed by Gideon v. Wainwright back in the 60s. So I don't necessarily see what this is doing. Anybody who's arrested will already get a public defender. If they're denied that, then they'll have the opportunity to sue. You know, there might be room for a pro bono organization somewhere in the process, but I think we're going to have to screen these carefully because these organizations, I don't have confidence that every one of them would be impeccable morally or would have the best interests of Irvine citizens at heart. So that's something that I would like to see before supporting this resolution as a citizen.
And that is all, Mayor.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment. Let me just say before calling for a roll call vote, it's distressing to me to hear, even from public commenters, expressions of just how limited the city government is or should be in protecting the constitutional rights of our citizens, those who live here, those who work here. I would think that Mr. Nishanian and others would be eager to see those rights protected, and I'm distressed that he thinks we don't have the capacity to coordinate these kinds of activities at a minimum. So with that, I'd like the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez-Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
No.
Mayor Agron.
Yes.
Carries 5-1 with Vice Mayor Mai voting no. Councilmember Carroll absent.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda for this morning. We are able now finally to clear out all the backlogged items. I thank my council colleagues for their cooperation and efficiency in moving right through the agenda. And thank you to the public participants as well. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Liu, seconded by Vice Mayor and Councilmember Mai. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Go.
Yes.
Councilmember Liu.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez-Franco.
Yes.
Councilmember Treceder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mai.
Yes.
Mayor Agron.
Yes.
Carries unanimously with the members present.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.